What's going to happen is you'll see the feed on there. If you want to do shit right now, you got like a minute. Well, I mean, I can make it longer than that.
Oh, that's cool. Am I in the shot?
Well, right now it's kind of on the counter thing.
You should be.
Yeah, you should be in the shot. If you're not, I will tell you. So, all right. So we got some people. Yes. All right. So we'll wait a couple minutes. So what's gonna happen is. What's up, anybody listening? Sorry for the delay. We were fashionably late, as every DJ is. So can't be starting on time. That ain't how DJs do stuff. So we're doing a podcast real quick with the AudioBotz, and we are just gonna kind of talk about stuff, nothing in particular. Just say what's up. We got Brett and Chris here.
Hello, hello.
So we are going to switch it on right now. So now we're live.
We are live.
So Brett,
What's
put up
up?
a little bit more. A little bit more.
What's up? Can you hear
A
me?
little bit more.
There we go.
There you
Is that
go.
better?
You're good. Yep, you're good.
All right, cool, man. I'll tuck
So-
you in real nice.
I'm Pat, your host. P. Smalls, Concha Automata. We're live from downtown Fort Pierce, and we got Chris and Brett of the AudioBotz.
Frequency.
What's up?
Killer
Frequency
B.
and Killer B in the house. So we were just gonna do something a little different and just do like a little 30-minute talk about whatever. Tell everybody a little bit about AudioBotz and things like that, stuff they probably don't know. So pretty much, we're in Fort Pierce right now, downtown Fort Pierce. We call this place the Hub. It's actually like an office that we have downtown. We do our live streams from here. Do a little partying up here. We're right across from the brewery. We hang out. It's a good time. So we're just gonna talk. So I mean, guys, just tell us about the AudioBotz. I just want to throw it out there for everybody who doesn't know. I actually introduced the
I was waiting for
AudioBotz
that.
to each other.
He actually did, yeah. I had actually reached out to Pat myself to maybe work on a project with him regarding production. I'm a classically trained piano player. I've been playing the piano since I was 6. I played trumpet. I started composing when I was like 15. I reached out to Pat, and Pat was like, I'm not really trying to do that, trying to more be the DJ, producer, show guy. And he's like, but I got this buddy you should meet. And I actually saw Brett play drums. He was in a metal band, phenomenal drummer. And I saw him DJ a couple times, and we were at a house party, and I was like, hey man, I got an MC303, you want to make some music?
You can tell the whole story?
Brett is a badass drummer.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
Yeah.
Thanks. Man. My
For a
trade,
little
man.
guy, he kills it.
Hey, man. Fuck you. So I thought you might ask, like, how'd you guys meet? And then I was going to say, well, the short of it is you.
Oh,
Yeah.
shit.
But
See,
yeah.
I had to throw my hat in there. I had to throw my
Yeah. You're
hat
waiting
in
for
there.
that. Was the first one for sure. So that's basically how it went down. We had that, it was a 420 party at your house.
Yep.
And was James's thing after
That
that,
was
or before
that was when I actually asked you if we wanted to do this.
So we
was-
hung
was
out at his
James's
thing
party, and
before
we hung out at the 420 party,
We chilled,
and
it was a good day,
I
too.
brought the Dead Guy Ale, and you
Yeah.
were like, "Whoa, I'd never seen that before." We kind of met over beer, which is
Yeah. And then that house became like our hub because
that's
shortly
actually
after that, Christina and I moved in.
Pat
there.
had moved out, and that's right. You moved to the little house, and we started there, and
No,
then-
you remember you guys came over to my place and we were doing recording and stuff like that. Remember I was like yelling at you to play or to sing differently. I'm unplugging the refrigerator to get the line. The
yeah,
noise
that's
out
right,
of the
that's
line.
right, because the house was
Yeah.
so crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, the house had a bad hum. No matter what
Yeah.
we did, dude.
Yeah.
That was old, man.
Yeah.
Some of our old recordings, you actually hear that hum and like the whole mix.
Yeah.
Like
I've literally unplugged everything in that place to try to stop that from happening. Yeah.
that place should have caught on fire a long
Yeah.
time.
Seriously, dude. Yeah, that was a.
But yeah, so
Yeah, actually, when Brett moved, because there were two houses on the property essentially, like a small apartment,
duplex.
Yeah, a duplex with like a mother-in-law apartment and like a major place. And when he moved in, that's when we had our live gear was set up there all the time.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
that's
shit.
what is different now. Because practice then was
Yeah, our practices back then was always on Tuesdays during the day because we were both off. And we'd get together at like 8 a.m. over breakfast
and
just
go
spend like
till
10
like
hours.
yeah.
Talk about like the
play
stuff
the
that you
same
guys
song
use.
for an hour.
Okay,
and a
yeah.
half.
So when we first started, like I said, I reached out to Brett. Was like, hey man, I got this
Make sure you
MC303.
simplify it for the people that don't know about
MC303 is
Roland
basically
drum machine.
it was a roll and groove box. It wasn't just a drum
There's
machine.
a drum engine and a synth.
Yeah,
engine
and
all-
it was more driven towards synth. It came out in 1983. I had mine forever.
I always wanted one when I was a teenager, and never actually got one.
And so we finally said yes. We met. I brought that thing. We basically wrote a track. It was called. It wasn't First Contact. First Contact was later on. We don't even have that track anymore.
It had a name.
It's out there somewhere. We have it somewhere.
Yeah. What was it?
But we know we laid it down, and Brett called me about 3 days later and said, "Hey, there's this 808EX for like $550
Same kind of machine.
Should I buy it?" And I was like,
machine.
"Should you buy it? I mean, I can't tell you how to spend your money, but."
How old are those things? Like, are they like
the
original?
The 303, the 303 was 83.
No, I mean the ones that you guys.
Mine
are
was,
they like Techniques where you buy fucking techs that are like? From
Mine was a refurb that I had picked up in 1997 because I had done another project with Matt Newman ages ago, and was what I did then.
So that Roland Groovebox, the MC303 would have come out some short years after the original Roland TR-808 and the TV303
and the 909 and the 505.
All of those sounds in one box.
When they had all those drum machines, the complaint
probably
was
91.
So you guys had a refurbished unit from the original run?
Yes, mine was original 303.
So are those still in production?
No. Absolutely not.
Just like how Pioneer changed their gear every year with new stuff, like they don't make the Ultra anymore.
In fact, when Roland came around to the TR-8 and the VT3, which we own, we own both actually, they didn't even consider doing that. They did the Aria, the synth, they did the TR-8, the VT3, and the Aria is what they named their synth, and they didn't even touch that.
Aria's just the new line.
The MC303 was never a successful thing. It didn't do well for them,
okay.
and so like they had ended the run very early on.
Okay.
The reason I had an interest in it is I was hanging out with another DJ. And he had one, and I was always impressed with what it was capable of.
Yeah.
That's why I bought it, and it collected dust for 10 years.
So when you were making music on those, and you ran the output, like what you were recording into Ableton or something?
No, our machines had their own memory.
Okay.
And so we were
live every time.
Yeah, we literally had to recreate our songs like a metal band or a real band.
Okay.
Like we had to make our songs fresh every time.
Okay.
So we literally would start from scratch.
We weren't even using any kind of DAW or software.
No, we had no software at all. Like actually, we both were dabbling with software and weren't like because we started with gear, we didn't even consider it. Like we were both working on things and didn't really know how to put it in.
We wanted to just jam at first. You know?
Yeah.
We weren't thinking of the end game and like the whole like let's get this on recording and let's make like marketable tracks. We were just like, let's stop spinning records and just start
let's make some music,
playing notes and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
So you know, we were an electro jam band, dude. You know what I mean? That's kind of what it was, like a garage band. And you didn't even bring up the fact that before Christine and I moved into Pat's old place, that we're
literally in a garage.
We were working out of the garage in my old house in Port St. Lucie.
Yeah.
And
and then we went gear crazy. He bought that 808EX.
And that's why we wrote that tune.
Yeah, we bought a D2, which is another Roland machine. It was like an effects processor
we were just
kind of thing.
We were just kind of obsessed with the Roland.
And then and we
started realizing all the sounds sounded the same on them devices, and you can only do so much with them.
And then we bought the Korg R3, which also had a vocoder on board, and that's when our sound really was born because we did show us what you got.
We started doing vocals.
Yeah, rhythm machine.
And we weren't just each bound to one little device. We had like several devices, so we can like, because it's hard to multi-layer
when you're on one device because the hardware
only allows you to do 7 games at once or something like that.
So how long were you guys doing that before you switched over to doing digital?
3 years probably.
Probably something like that, 2 or 3 years.
Do you think that starting that way was a good way to transition into digital, or no? Or it has no effect?
It didn't have any effect on digital. What I do like about us starting with gear is we had to learn a lot of stuff. We had to learn MIDI, which is a total pain in the ass. Like, if things don't hook up right, there's nothing but latency. There's nothing but problems. So it was nice to like have this grassroots base where we had learned what all of our influences had done before us.
Come to think of it, I think that if we started off just sitting in front of a computer together, we probably wouldn't have lasted.
Yeah.
I think the fact that we actually stood there and
had to make those songs.
It kind of got all on each other.
And we really had to practice, you know, and
remember shit.
And when we played live back then, there was always mistakes and we would end up running 32 bars extra because one thing was 16 bars. We missed a link.
When we would play a show, we would have to write pages of notes with the numbers and and
and we each,
C2 plus
yeah,
this, like the machines
each,
are all like
we each had our own set of notes that included all the instrument changes that we needed to make and our pattern changes.
This song is pattern number 38 with C and this and that going on at once. And we were basically flipping through pages.
Yeah. I just want to say what's up to everybody in the chat. I know some of you guys.
What's up, guys?
Well, a famous moment that we have
shared. Dive in too fast?
No, we're good. It's just people, they talk while we're talking, and it's hard to do both at the same time.
One of the shows that you threw at O'Malley's, Brett, I think we tell the story.
Oh, yeah.
He accidentally.
Wait, let me. Okay, so on these machines, when you buy them, right?
There's presets.
Right. Like, so if you don't really know how to make music, there's already tunes in there that you can mess around with and loop.
Start, and,
goofy little funny,
take samples,
marimba shit, and all kinds of different stuff.
Well, in the middle of a set, Brett had switched to one of these onboard ones, and it was like this 68 BPM reggae thing.
But it was
and it was 16 measures. It was 16 measures.
Yeah.
And we basically just had to own it until it switched back to our
two
stuff.
Songs, and I was supposed to put on pattern number this, and I went backwards instead, and it was like for like 30 seconds. It was like, and we couldn't even turn it up because
I thought it was.
We said to wait for the loop to run out.
We faked it until we made it. We acted like it was supposed to happen, and then when it switched back, we got right back to work.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
And then when we switched,
that's the struggle of using that stuff.
Yeah, that is the struggle. Is there's all these things you bump something and something happens, whereas digital.
Not
now,
to mention know when to cut a song off. Like we would play an hour-long set and maybe play 8 songs.
Because we were jamming.
We're jamming these songs.
One
for 10,
song would be
12
like 12 minutes.
Oh, okay. All right. So you weren't just
pick and
playing
choose
when
the part ends.
No. We were playing part 10. If something was happening, we would let it ride.
I saw Shiraz do that with the Akai pad. He had all his songs like.
That was when he played at Place Stewart, right?
Yeah, dude. And so the mix never stopped, but it was never the same song.
Right.
It was a completely
whereas we weren't using fragments like that. Like we were actually making those. And like you said, if something cool was happening, we would just let it ride.
Yeah.
And that was what we had to learn. The other thing we had to learn was that what we like isn't necessarily what everyone likes.
Oh, for sure, dude. Yeah, for sure.
And so that's when we started to implement digital, and we spent 2 years.
We could add more technology to our music. We were here in 2000. What was it? 6, 7, 8, something like that, getting started, and we are using 90s
here
technology.
From the 90s.
So although that raw electro sound was there, that old school electro breakbeat kind of simple. Loopy style 4 a.m. shit was all there.
Super limited though.
Yeah, it was limited.
Yeah.
You were limited to what your machine could do.
Not to mention the ability to structure and edit just wasn't there. It was loop to loop to loop to you know what I mean?
Right. I never knew that's how those things work, but now that you've explained it that way, I completely understand how that works.
And like I said,
you're just making loops.
If you wanted to do something,
and then we bring them in, and then that's where our notes were. So on the for example, this is the easy way to explain. On the 303, there's 8 channels. One of them is a rhythm channel. Gotcha. The rest are synths or sounds or FX. So that's it.
Yeah.
You got 8. Yeah. Now you can put a couple of those user banks together. It could be 2 or 3. So that's how we would build blow-ups.
Right.
This would be part of the song, and then we would switch to this part that had a.
Some of our songs were actually because a pattern, or let's say a track or whatever would be those 8 different things. You could switch to another pattern and then have
some
more.
Of those, right?
So in some songs we were switching to a totally different channel to complete the song because 8 wasn't enough.
Then we'd have to switch back.
If we wanted to do something as simple as a little drum fill one time that doesn't exist through the rest of the song, it
had to be its own little piece.
Right.
You had to switch to that.
The whole element from the song.
And so you're limited by the buttons. How many buttons are on the controller?
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
So not to mention the buttons are all hard and they don't respond and shit.
Well, and we abuse that MC303 so much that it needs repairs now.
How about the fact that twice, not once but twice,
the
303 decided to restore itself to factory settings, and it was always a day or two before an event.
How much RAM are you talking about?
Nothing.
Kilobytes?
Nothing. What he's talking about, we were the first time it happened, we were 3 days away from a show, and we lost everything on that 303.
So all the songs we wrote, because when you are using this and you don't have a computer screen and have let's say a synth that says cool bassy synth, it's just numbers and shit.
Yeah,
you have to memorize where.
So not only did we had to listen
to every
and go
sound and say, that sounds
that's
like
not
a synth
it.
from that song.
That's not it.
That's
not it.
Remember the notes.
The first time it took us 60 hours
so our songs were never
to
the same.
rewrite everything.
Rewrite
everything on the 303, and the very next show,
we lost
the memory battery died.
Oh dang!
So it happened twice to us,
Wow.
and we literally, that
So we had to like
was when we were like,
Dude,
fuck
that's
this.
awesome. That's
And we
awesome
switched-
for stories.
That's how we do
Good
it,
for
bro.
stories, dude.
Yeah.
Good for stories.
And that's
man.
when we switched to digital. It was like, all right, well, how do we figure this
That's the
out?
struggle is real.
And actually, my first copy of Ableton, I was scratching my head like a monkey. I couldn't sort it out. I was like, what is this shit?
We
I
both
had
kind of
used
knew how to use Fruity Loops.
Fruity Loops, and I had used Acid for a while.
Yeah.
But when I finally
Acid, the software.
got into Ableton and learned what it was capable of, and we both kind of learned the language, it changed everything, really. Like, our writing became easier and better.
Oh
and-
yeah. No, I mean I could definitely tell the difference in your
Yeah.
sound from then. Obviously, it's so
Well,
much
there's
more
so much
power
more you
there.
can do. You can
And we're not limited. I mean, honestly, with Ableton, like if you wanted to run 137 channels for a song, you can. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like your computer, there's not a
Or you
computer on
can
earth
do
that'll
full
So
hang.
that's why all those guys that are using analog stuff. That's why they have so many different things.
Yeah,
and
that's
why that's actually
You're trying to write a killer song that has all kinds of different elements.
That's actually why all the music in the 90s kind of was built the same way. They would start with something simple, an intro, and then they would increase the beat.
But also,
And-
there's a band of 4 or 5 guys. So each guy's playing instrument. They get
Well,
2 of us trying to make a song that
Right,
would take
yeah.
probably 8 humans.
And
to
that's
play.
why you see stacks
On-
of the stuff when you're playing live. So
Right.
each one of those has a sound
Right.
bank in it, and it's, okay.
Exactly.
I gotcha, yeah.
Exactly.
I gotcha.
Whereas
That's
Ableton
interesting.
now, like even if you're using analog gear, you can just rip the sample, and now it's an Ableton synth.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like
There's not a whole lot of reason to use an analog piece of equipment, like at least on stage. So like,
Yeah.
if you're not recording in a studio, you want some raw sound from a
Use
from
it.
a certain use it, record it. But when it comes to like live play, unless you're trying to haul out the whole package, dude, then you take the sounds you want and just MIDI them, turn them into a file and
make them a
Right.
sample.
Yeah, no,
bring,
yeah,
bring a keyboard this bit.
So where's all that stuff now? Sitting in a
It's-
closet?
No, some of it's set up in
Some
the
of
room.
it's set up,
for
yeah.
Like
decoration.
museum pieces?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
plug it in sometimes. But the thing is, it's like some of those noises are just dated. Some of the sounds are just dated.
Seriously, dude, I can hear that just from like
If you really listen to music,
stuff now
like month to
versus
month.
like years ago.
Yeah.
Like, dude, just the bass line itself. Like,
there's
just
certain
the
sounds that
fullness
are
of it.
really
and
You know what?
like
One of the biggest differences now is your ability to stack, which wasn't a thing before. Like,
Right.
so you could take a bass line that you like, right, and then take another sound that's an octave above it and stack it,
and then add like a little woodblock noise to it, make a whole new
and
sound out of it.
that carries the
Right.
rhythm. And yeah, now you've created this whole other synth.
Right.
Whereas when you're using analog gear, you don't have the space to do that.
Right, yeah.
Like, so it is great, and we still do. Like when we want that analog crunch, we'll plug something in and
Okay.
get that sound.
So
you
it's
know
still
what I mean?
useful sometimes.
Yeah,
to
yeah.
Get that because
Yeah.
do they have?
Every once in a while too, we'll just plug stuff in. Sorry, man.
No, you're good.
Just
Well,
to mess
actually,
around.
And just jam around for fun, like
Yeah.
old times.
So are those sounds in Ableton though? Not that you make them, but I mean, like, could you say you want to roll on 303 or whatever sound?
Oh
is
yeah,
from
you
there?
can. I mean, there's.
I mean, the sound banks that are out there now, I bet somebody has gone through the entire MC303
Okay.
and laid it
Oh,
out.
it definitely exists.
You wouldn't need any of the drum sounds because the drum sounds were the 909, the 808, the what's that?
707.
The 707, the TC. It wasn't Roland. It was Quai, one of those old companies that's not even around anymore. So like the rhythm banks are out there, like they are, and as far as those sounds,
But now
like
what people have done, they've taken those like 808 sounds and stuff like that, and just compressed them and added like extra like distortion and just like all these layers of like
Okay.
thickness to it. You notice like new songs like today, if you look at waveforms on your
Oh,
on
yeah.
your shit, they're thick like
Oh,
this,
yeah.
right? Back in the day, you listen to old like records or like old songs you might have on your
Yeah.
thing. There's more like
It's
peaks
thin.
and valleys in the music.
Right.
And everyth's so blown up.
Dude, I
and
remember like
thickened now.
Fix's stuff has always been like that.
Yeah.
Like his stuff has been maxed out. I don't
Yeah.
even like as much.
well,
as you
because
can do it.
when he was in analog gear, he was probably doing something like running through a tube amp or something. Because that's
Right.
another thing. That's something that
He was
we
recording,
had
he
talked
he had actual
about.
recording like studio gear he's plugging into.
Well, I guess
because-
what I meant, sorry, not his records and stuff. I meant like ever since he's like started the MP3 stuff, they've always been like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Whereas some people, you can see that they started here and now they're there.
Right.
I'm not trying to sound like a hater, but sometimes if I'm looking at tunes, like even like on Beatport or
It
whatever,
counts.
if before I even listen to the song, if I see a little baby little worm
Oh
of
yeah.
a
No, dude.
waveform, I might not
It's not mastered.
Because you already know that you're gonna drive the
Yeah.
gain or whatever.
See, there's some people though that actually appreciate that lack of loudness because they say real music, should have those peaks and valleys,
And like some
back in the
space
day.
to it and stuff.
So I don't need it to be like blown up out of proportion, but I do
But it
appreciate
fills
nice.
it fills the fucking speakers up. I mean,
Well,
what
what
it's
you know what it
got-
really
yeah.
does is if you're buying music from other artists and really like the people who are mastering this music, there's not a whole lot of them out there. Like a lot of these artists on labels are all using the same mastering guy. So if you buy a track that's like 3 decibels less on the crunch, on the compression, when you're trying to mix it, you have to drive the gain so much that
Right.
it's
I
not.
like to be able to
Yeah,
mix
it's
it
not
so
fluid.
without having
It
to
sounds
lose
like
volume.
And gain is not volume for
Right,
you
it's
fucking
not,
slacker
yeah,
ass
it's
DJs
not.
out
You know,
there.
just when you're mixing right and
volume.
you're at this certain level and you're going good, and then you play a song that's kind of low, so now you have to kind of crank that channel up, and now you go back to that channel.
You
this
forget,
song,
now this one's blaring.
Now this one is fucking
Yeah, no, I know.
And that really happens if you're playing with another DJ at the same time.
Yeah.
where you don't know what his shit's like.
Like
over
when you
there,
see
know?
somebody's mix, not
Yeah.
just tracks, like their mix. I remember I was Exotic E had put something out. He's like, I can tell your skill level by your waveform, like on a mix, because if your fucking mix is going like this, like you obviously don't know how to match the levels and all
Right,
that.
and you're not
relatively
you're not
consistent.
and you're not seeking that,
It needs to look like an earthworm, not like an ant. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
No
Well,
offense to
it
ants.
just needs to be even, man. Like a good DJ is going to normalize all the way. I mean, and that's really what's important. You don't want your
you can
volume
do that.
levels
You can do that post production too with
Yeah,
plugins,
no, I know. I remember,
because-
like when I was making CDs and stuff, though, there was like no post production.
Well,
Like,
the only
recording
advice I
live,
have
like, boom, that's
to the modern DJ that's recording live mixes, record at low volume, dude. Not low, but you just give yourself at least 6 to 8 decibels.
Yeah.
and find
of
someone to
negative
master.
rhythm.
Find someone to master it. Really, if you
Seriously,
lay down a mix, find someone to master it.
Dude, and if you have any kind of technical knowledge whatsoever, dude, get Audacity and fucking watch a YouTube video. Because remember, I was talking to you about
Yeah,
that.
Audacity's easy enough.
Dude, I had him. I went over to his house. He mastered a mix for me. Dude, sounded fucking amazing, right? And then the other mix I made.
We'll master yours too. Hit us up.
Right. The other mix I made, like, I downloaded Audacity, watched a couple videos, man. It did not sound nearly as good as yours, but dude, it was good enough, man. It sounded like 1,000 times better than just being raw. And I was like, wow, it wasn't that hard.
We
either.
master with like a $600 mastering suite.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I mean that counts too.
Oh yeah, no,
you know?
for sure. But it's not like there's a lot of people who explain how to do that, and it's not hard at all.
Yeah,
it's not
yeah.
difficult.
Dude,
Well,
honestly, look up tutorials, dude. Because I mean,
Yeah, that's what
we
I'm saying.
don't
Even
have, we don't
Ableton,
have
that-
degrees in engineering. Now we busted our ass and spent many years trying and
Right.
failing.
It's all been grassroots. Yeah, it's real failure.
But
Failure
really,
is the
we've
secret to
actually
success.
researched a couple of small little tips that have basically made a huge impact on what we do and the way we master music. And
Yeah.
and,
No, your
and
stuff
I'm
sounds
talking
good, dude.
2 or 3 little adjustments on those levels that make the shit right.
Dude, your stuff sounds better than a lot of the stuff I get off
when it
Beatport.
Thank you.
comes to post
That's
production.
an awesome
Yeah.
that's an awesome compliment. Yeah.
Seriously.
Thank you, man.
Seriously.
We
There's
strive
some
for that.
kind
We
of
try to keep it thick.
crystallized like clarity that
Well, that
in the music.
it's funny.
Like there's no noise.
I'm so happy you say that because I wonder if that hum is what has driven us to that. That hum that we fought for 3 years,
We used to suck at making dope bass lines.
Yeah, we had everything else but no hum. We didn't have that
we had a
bump.
hard time making really good low end bass. And like we were using gear that those songs didn't include that. I mean, there was Miami Bass that had that kind of shit.
And we weren't doing anything post production either. Like
Right.
And we were also cranking everything. I was getting ready to say, it's more about what you turn down, what you take away, than what you turn.
For sure.
like
Like
everything
the
else in
noise,
life,
dude, like, yeah,
less
dude,
is
that's
less is
right.
always
Yeah,
more.
You got no room to.
Simplify.
Well, and the other side of it is learning how to control the frequencies and knowing that like if you're writing this kind of music and you have 30, 40 channels, everything needs to be in place. Like if you don't, you anytime you have fighting frequencies, there's no clarity.
Right.
There can't be clarity.
Right.
So that was another thing we had to learn is that everything has to be in its place. Like when you're mastering your hi-hats, they really need to be 16 to 12K hertz, and that's it. They can't bleed over
That's where they
into your
exist
mids.
at anyways.
Right,
Yeah.
because now if you have like a nice little arpeggio that's just below that, and those things are interfering with frequencies, it creates noise and hiss and you can't feel it till it's gone.
No, yeah, I know exactly.
But
what
once
you're
it's
talking about.
gone, you're like,
Because
whoa.
when I did the Audacity thing and then I mastered it, and one thing I didn't do was I didn't cut off the top.
Right.
And when I did that, it was like, holy shit, that changed the whole
exactly.
All to it, limited.
Right.
And really, and what you're talking about cutting is what
noise.
People can't hear.
There's noise.
Right. So we can't hear it, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't affect.
It doesn't give you a headache after 10 minutes. You know what I mean?
Right. But you may not hear the sound, but you can hear
the clarity.
In the music.
Right.
You can hear the noise in the music.
Right.
And
you get the hiss and shit like that.
Right. Yeah. And it's like it's so subtle until you notice it's gone, and then you're like,
whoa.
There's more space in the music.
Space, exactly. And that's what it is.
It's
about letting everything have its space to do this a little bit.
Right.
You know, if everything is doing this, then it's just
have you ever heard a song that almost sounds like garagey on purpose, like where the middle low end,
we've written songs like that.
That distorts. It almost sounds like it's been poorly produced, but that's what they were going for.
Yeah,
like if you can get 80% of the tune, and at least your drums. The drums are the most important, dude. If you get the drums crystal clear, you can put a really shitty like garage tune sounding like bass line in there, and it's still not sound bad.
So recently, when we got in the studio with Infinity and stuff, we dragged out some of his old stuff, and we did like these really, really, like, you can't even call them remasters or remixes. They're like touches. And basically all we did,
I'd say.
Yeah, basically all we did is we modernized the drums. We made sure that the kick, snare, and hi-hat were more of these modern controlled ideas, and instantly the whole song has more clarity.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's like tightened up.
Yeah, just tightened up. That's a great way to say it.
That wasn't with his original project.
No, a lot of those were remixes,
that was
and we didn't touch any of his stuff at all. We need that
but
song.
Yeah, the thing
we'll play that
you can hear even the best produced stuff. I mean, I guess if you limit it to just like breaks or whatever from back in those days, because I mean I feel like Infinity stuff was always like the thickest, loud sounding. You know what I mean? When it came to comparing his stuff to most other guys' records, he just had that
more substance to
the
music.
Yeah.
But even like it just there was less technology and less out there to really broaden that sound to like. Because even like the way they make speakers today, and the way like they use different kind of wiring and shit, like all that's changed.
The speakers are better quality.
Yeah, so
you get more music.
So you immediately hear a difference.
Voice coils are made out of better materials.
Right.
You know, like materials that need to be discovered, and you know, like that is what's great about technology and where we are now.
We've always, or not always, we've recently gone back. The past few years, we've been going back through some of our older stuff and
touching it up as well.
Revamping it with our newer.
I was gonna ask you that if you were gonna like ever remaster.
Because it's like, dude, if you want to play a DJ set, and we're playing primarily like our newer, more better produced, thick sounding stuff.
It's hard to play something from 2013.
Oh yeah, I know. It doesn't sound the same.
So actually, the mix that we had put out for WMC this year was a lot of that. It was us retouching a lot of those.
It's essentially old school shit in general.
Yeah.
Just check it out. It's good.
Yeah. It is good.
So I mean, we're at 30 minutes, so I
should wrap this up, dude.
Yeah, no, I just want to ask you guys like one more thing. So like, what is like the best show that you've played?
Oh man, I don't know, dude.
So to actually, just real quick, not like club wise, but city wise, like where have you guys played?
I mean, we've been stuck in Florida, dude. Hey, look,
Orlando.
If you are
Tampa,
in a different state and you want to book
Miami,
AudioBotz, you just
Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah, I mean, we're
Miami.
Tampa,
Fort Pierce, for sure, Melbourne.
Palm Bay.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yep. 3-2-1. We did a little bit of that.
We haven't gone as far north as like Jacksonville or anything like that.
No, we've had a couple people reach out. It never came together.
Yeah. So
okay. So what's the best like gig you guys have done? Just maybe the most like
there's
satisfying.
So many things that can make a gig the best gig.
I tell you, the one that felt the most rewarding for me was when we opened for Techno Sluts.
Yeah, but it was like nobody really there.
I know, but the
stage was killer.
Yeah, and we set the vibe too. Like
we played like an hour.
And remember Danny Bled was just we'll do like Danny Bled was next, and he was like.
I remember the bass was just rumbling that stage.
Keep going, and we had a bunch of people come up to us and were like, "How old are you guys?" Because like we were playing like classic electro, and like they're like, "What do you mean you guys are like 30 years old? Like what do you mean?" For me, that was one of the most rewarding.
You might have been 30.
I'm ancient. I'm 40 now, so I mean.
No, wait. So hold on. The best show though. I don't know, dude. It's hard to say.
I mean, like I can tell you, like some of my best, like the Tiki Bar party, fucking amazing.
Well, the first time we played live in Miami.
Live in Austin, so that was kind of cool. I mean, that one night when we played Galaxy 2, I think it was, we were supposed to play in the Ciderman and closing the main room.
Yeah.
That was, there wasn't many people there, but we were like, fuck yeah, that was cool.
So who is the biggest person that you've met in like the electronic music community? One of them, I guess you could say.
We kind of met them all.
I mean, you know, if you again, you want to break it down to like, you know, our listeners type of, you know, flavor, like, you know, electro and breaks and stuff like that. I mean, at first, you know, we were trying to tap into that electro world, and you know, getting with Larry really helped out a lot. So that was a big deal.
Yeah, so I mean, through Larry, we met
Infinity,
Johnny
you know?
Dangersley, BFX.
Dave Noller.
Yeah, Dave Noller was later on. Dave Noller's huge. We know Infinity. We've hung out with Icy. Icy knows who we are. Like, usually the first time Icy sees us for conference in Miami, he has his hand out for our CD. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we kind of met them all.
As far, if you want to break it down to like just like the breaks level, like achievements, I feel like, I mean, if we had to quit tomorrow, I think we kind of achieved a lot of stuff that we didn't think was going to even be, you know, attainable.
Dude, watching it from
we at least put our thumbprint on it.
Oh,
you
yeah,
know?
dude.
Like,
Dude, watching the beginning to now, man, it's like, it's awesome seeing what you guys do. And then you were on Kaleidoscope, which is like,
which,
I mean, dude, for you, I know
okay, so when we first met, of course, we matched we looked at records, you know. I literally have all the Kaleidoscope recs. Yeah, we have almost the same records of those guys.
You know what's funny though? Okay, so
that was awesome. Like,
dude, for me, just looking at it, if I was y'all,
having a release on Kaleidoscope,
I'd have fucking put that bitch on
super awesome, super.
And we intend to do more Kaleidoscope.
And he made little robot people for us.
Yeah.
Like,
we intend to do more Kaleidoscope. I'll get into why we haven't in a minute, but I know we want to wrap this up. But the funny thing about every time we met somebody who, like, you know, we would, I guess, hold to a high you know level as far as like you know, looking up to them musically and in this kind of scene. It's almost like we don't think they even know who we are, and then when they touch your hand, like, oh, do you even listen to your
shit? You guys are awesome.
Really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
But so why have you hit us up?
fucking
Like,
awesome.
we'll give you our music. Like,
That's
let's do
Okay.
shit, you know?
I mean, one last story.
We're super approachable.
The reason that we
the
reason that we made Exact is he had Electro Digital, and
we started charting on his
we
website,
had sold so many songs on his label on the website that he had to pay us.
Yeah.
So he went out of his way to go find out
every
who the hell
time
we
he
were.
would come into town and like do shit here, he would notice that like we were actually friends with people that he kind of came up with.
Right, exactly.
You know,
he was always he gave us great advice.
That helped us out a great deal. Sean, Doc Nasty.
Yeah, Doc Nasty.
Homeboy,
for
definitely
real.
helped us a lot.
Yeah.
Jimmy the Genius.
Yeah. All them boys, Super Not, Merlin. I mean, those guys are people we consider friends.
Just giving us, you know, credit for what we were doing, even back then when we weren't really killing it, was enough to keep us going. You know what I mean?
J Double is another one that gave us great advice and was always available to us.
Yeah. So let's wrap it up.
Yeah,
So
I got one thing I was going to mention that we are. Why we haven't been putting out a lot of singles lately? We are working on an album,
a full-length album.
And Brett had a baby this year. So,
and I did too. I own a business.
Yeah.
I mean, that was my baby.
We're busy guys, man.
But we are working on a full-length album that is close.
Since the last show we played.
Yes, that's true. We took a 2-week, 3-week break.
Yeah, you gotta have real life to DJ and don't pay the bills like that. I remember
the
first time I met Jimmy
it's
the
fun.
Genius, I was like, "So do you work?"
Of course he does.
Yeah, work. I was like, I thought you were like
the first time.
You got it, dude. You know, when it comes to being a married guy with kids and stuff like that. I mean, I just recently had a kid, but you definitely got to have an understanding wife that really supports you, dude. And our
amen to that.
True that.
And you know.
But yeah, when we made J Double, he's like, "You guys really love this, right?" And he's like, "Because there's no fucking money."
No, dude, I know that from throwing parties with greatest goddamn
so we're trying to maybe break into you know, more broad spectrum of music, just because we owe it to ourselves to not keep ourselves in a little bubble. So
to dance on the line and try new stuff. So
in regards to the album, you know, we're experimenting with some different stuff. You know, when the album does you know, reach completion, it's going to include a lot of our regular, breaks and electro style music, but there is going to be some
Several
shit
things
on
I
there.
heard some of it at your house too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely different, but it's like
But I
it's
think-
like you guys' flavor.
It's got our
and
style.
I know
Right,
a lot of
right.
people that are like,
Yeah.
this die hard, whatever this and fuck everything else. But
Yeah.
I think even people like that would give it a chance.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you have to have growth, man. I mean, evolve or die. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. You can't keep making the same
So-
stuff all
Not to
the
mention
time.
when I play my son my music when he's like 10 years old, I'm like, Dad, every fucking song
He's
sounds
gonna
the
think
same.
you're lame, dude.
I mean, I want him to be like, okay, cool. My dad actually makes cool music. So there's that,
That's cool. You're gonna
And,
be like the old dad in the band
cheers.
in the '70s.
Everybody,
and stuff,
thanks for dipping in.
Okay, so
Well, I did that my kids. One's grown and one's just started high school.
that's
so-
cool though. Man. That's cool.
So I've done that.
So pretty much what we're doing right now, and just so everybody knows, is we're gonna do a live stream for them playing, and we're just talking for right now. So we got to break this down real quick.
Just a few
And
minutes,
It's
man.
gonna be a few minutes.
Anyone
and
who
then we're
tuned
gonna
in,
come
thank you
back
very
on.
much.
Yeah, thank you guys.
We couldn't do any of it without fans and
Yeah, love you
people
guys.
and support. So.
We will be back soon. Give us about 10-15 minutes, and then you'll see the live stream come back on. So share the page, like the page, all that stuff. So thank you guys for tuning
Thanks
in.
for having us, Pat.
We'll see you soon.
Yeah, man, this is
no
awesome.
problem. It was a pleasure, dude.